What up, what up, what up, people? What up? It's me, L Teddy 27, Angry Teacher Chronicles, all that good stuff. And this is our fantasy. Oh, this time. Sorry, y'all. Our fantasy week 14. Now, this is going to be our last week of our fantasy picks. Why? Because after this week, everybody will be in the playoffs. And if you're in the playoffs, then I don't really think you need my help like that. Something, you've been doing something wrong. Maybe you've been taking my advice, or maybe you do your own advice, and everything went well for you. I can say that I did make the playoffs in all of my leagues. I was kind of worried last week, but yeah, we made it. So we got to do that. But I will say, in sports news to come on my channel, starting next week, Sunday, instead of doing NFL, we're not going to do NBA fantasy. God, because that's like daily. You have to do that every day. But we are going to have a video. I can't say exactly what it is. I know what it's going to be, but I don't want to say it out loud. But check us out same time next week, Sunday morning. And we'll be doing another video on our channel, but it will be centered around the NBA as the NBA season gets ramped up. Good luck to everybody with their that are in the playoffs. Hopefully you make it to your league Super Bowl. I don't even know how my tie looks. I don't even know if I like my shirt tie combination this week, but whatever, we here. Anyway, y'all. So let's get right down to it. It's been a blast. I have had so much fun this week. We'll get to that at the end. Okay, so for our quarterbacks this week, we got we're gonna have 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends, 1 sleeper for each, and then we'll have 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers, and 2 sleepers for each. Okay. So for our quarterbacks this week, I like Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings. They're at home versus Detroit, okay? And that is a division game. But Detroit is awful at this point. And I figure Kirk Cousins to get off today, especially at home. But this is Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins is way overdue for a game where he lets us down. But until then, you can go ahead and go with him. But Kirk Cousins, I like him this week at home versus Detroit. I like also Jacoby Brissett at home versus Tampa Bay. You know that Tampa Bay defense, even though it's shown flashes over the last couple weeks of getting better, it's still Tampa Bay. So I like Jacoby Brissett this week at home for Indianapolis versus Tampa Bay. And our sleeper of the week is Devlin Hodges. Now, Devlin Hodges is the rookie down in Pittsburgh. They are going to be at Arizona. Y'all know Arizona don't have a defense. Hell, I could go out there and start for Arizona's defense. So I like Devlin Hodges to do well this week. He's a sleeper if you need one. Maybe you're in the first round of the playoffs and maybe somebody got hurt. You could pick somebody up off the waiver wire, pick up Devlin Hodges. Or maybe this is the last week of your regular season for your fantasy league and you need this win in order to get into the playoffs. Go ahead and pick up Devlin Hodges. I figure him to do well this week. For our tight ends this week, I like Zach Ertz of the Philadelphia Eagles at home versus the New York Giants. That's a division game as well. New York Giants are awful against the tight end. I also like Vance McDonald of the Pittsburgh Steelers at Arizona. Y'all know we talked about this from way early in the season. You pick any tight end versus Arizona because they're the worst team in the league versus tight ends. So you want Vance McDonald this week. Our sleeper is going to be Ian Thomas of the Carolina Panthers. They are going to be at Atlanta. And Atlanta gives up points versus opposing tight ends as well. With Greg Olsen being out, I think he's still out on concussion protocol. I like Ian Thomas as a sleeper for the Carolina Panthers, and like I said, they'll be at Atlanta. For our running backs this week, Benny Snell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Arizona is not good versus the middle of the field of Arizona is just wide open, just wide open. So I like Benny Snell of the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's slated to get a lot of touches and carries this week, and they'll be at Arizona. I like Devontae Freeman, who's been real sketchy this year. I mean, shouts out to Devontae. He's my fellow Miami Central High School, fellow Rocket from Miami Central. He's my fellow Florida State University alumnus. So, I got a lot, of stake in Devontae Freeman, but he's been real sketchy this year. Hometown boy, but I like him this week at home versus Carolina. That's Devontae Freeman of the Atlanta Falcons. I also like Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers. They're going to be at home versus Washington Redskins. Consequently, did y'all see what Darius Geis did last week? I gave y'all that. Last week was a good week for us. We've been having a great couple. The last 3 weeks or so, we've been doing great with our picks. So hopefully you've been following my advice and that helped you get into your fantasy league playoffs. For our sleepers at running back, I like Rashad Penny of the Seattle Seahawks and they're going to be at home versus the Los Angeles Rams. I know you still have Chris Carson out there, but I like Rashad Penny to steal some touches, perhaps some goal line touches. Look for him to maybe score, get at least one score in this game. So I like Rashad Penny as a sleeper if you're in a pinch. And I like Patrick Laird of the Miami Dolphins, and they're going to be at the New York Jets. Now, somebody has to carry the ball for Miami. And from what I understand, it's going to be Patrick Laird. I figure him to have a decent game. I ain't saying he's going to be a world beater, but I figure Patrick Laird to have a decent game for Miami at the New York Jets. Miami usually plays the New York Jets pretty hard. The only thing that gives me pause is the Dolphins never travel well in the cold. When they have to go and travel up to Buffalo or the Jets and it's cold, they never fare well. Or to New England and it's cold, they do not fare well. But I do like Patrick Laird in a pinch if you need a sleeper running back. For my wide receivers this week, I like Devontae Parker of the New York Jets. Of the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets. He's their only consistent fantasy player. He's the only player from the Miami Dolphins who you consistently can plug in. I like Devontae Freeman this week. The secondary of the Jets is atrocious. On the other side of the ball, I like Robbie Anderson of the New York Jets at home versus the Miami Dolphins. So look for those two wide receivers to do well on opposing sides. Robbie Anderson of the New York Jets at home versus the Miami Dolphins. And who is that out there? Sam Darnold. He's been really connecting well with Robbie Anderson. I like Deebo Samuel of my beloved San Francisco 49ers. They will be at the New Orleans Saints. Look for the New Orleans Saints and their horrible secondary to focus a lot of attention on Emmanuel Sanders, which will leave Deebo Samuel open early and often for Jimmy Garoppolo. So I like Deebo Samuel of my 49ers, my San Francisco 49ers, and they'll be at the New Orleans Saints. And then I like Stephon Diggs of the Minnesota Vikings at home versus Detroit. That should be a good game. That's a good game for any of the Minnesota starters. Even if you want to pick Zach Rudolph, out there, I like them. Our sleepers, and that's Zach Rudolph, the tight end for Minnesota. Our sleepers for this week at wide receiver are James Washington of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're at Arizona. And I also like Zach Pascal of the Indianapolis Colts, and they're going to be at the Tampa Bay. No, they're at home versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So our sleepers for this week. our sleepers for this week. Let me think. I'm pausing because I didn't write anything down. You would think the last week I would have someone. Our sleepers for this week are going to be, you know what? Since I mentioned it earlier, I'm going to go with my boys, my Miami boys, my Miami Central Rockets, my Florida State Seminoles. Both of them are running backs. Both of them went to my high school. Both of them went to my same university. Going with, we mentioned him earlier, Devontae Freeman and Dalvin Cook. Both of them are fellow Rockets. Look them up. They will be there. Both running backs. Devontae Freeman is Devonta. Last name Freeman. Oh, I have my okay. Got my board this week. So we're going with my fellow Rockets. We're going with first. And remember, I told you last week, you can either do your image search for either do muscles or body or shirtless, and it will pull up stuff for you. And our second one is Dalvin Cook. And both of them are running backs. Devontae Freeman is a running back for the Atlanta Falcons. Dalvin Cook is a running back for the Minnesota Vikings. So those are our fantasy sleepers. You do a quick Google image search for them, put in muscle afterward or body or shirtless, and get your whole life. Y'all, it's been so much fun this season bringing you all my picks. Some people, you know who you all, have been calling me back channel to get your own personal picks. But shouts out to you. I hope that I was able to help you out this year. We'll be back next season for it. Like I said, we'll be back next week actually, and we're going to do some NBA stuff. And I'm not going to tell you now, but come see us again next week, Sunday morning, and we will unsheath our new set of videos for the NBA season, and we'll get that started and squared away. Good luck in the playoffs for those of you who made the playoffs. For those of you who did not make the playoffs, hey, you still be in the you still supposed to talk noise and talk smack to your league members even if you lost. So and hopefully you fare better next year. It's been fun, y'all. We'll be back next September for a whole nother season of picks. And we'll be back next week for more sports talk. We'll be doing our NBA stuff next week. So I'll catch y'all next week. That's all I got for now. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely.